What do you make of some things that have gone around today with the Teals? Allegra Spender's pulled out despite saying she would do a forum like this. And you've got Zoe Daniel down in the Melbourne seat of Goldstein putting out flyers to say she's basically the best friend that Melbourne Jews have ever had.
Well, in the case of Allegra Spender, I mean, this is just classic when it comes to the Teals. They talk about transparency, but they don't live transparency. Transparency is something that other people should do, but they shouldn't have to do. And we've seen that with Monique Ryan as well. When it comes to Zoe Daniel, I mean, that pamphlet was one of the most patronising things I have ever seen, completely tone deaf, lecturing the Jewish community about all the things she's done for them, including in completely unrelated areas of public policy that don't go to the core issues that concern Australian Jews at a moment like this. We're living in the worst anti-Semitism crisis our country's ever seen. Zoe Daniel, frankly, has failed to represent her Jewish constituents, has failed to stand up for them, has done ridiculous things like sign letters calling for UNRWA funding to be returned, even though we knew that there were terrorists employed by UNRWA on that terrible day on the 7th of October, by presumptuously saying that she speaks on behalf of the Jewish community. No wonder there are so many Jewish volunteers on Tim Wilson's campaign in Goldstein who are so desperate to get rid of Zoe Daniel.
Let's talk about the Port of Darwin, because when he was opposition leader, Anthony Albanese said, I will take it off the Chinese and put it back in Australian hands. When he's Prime Minister, he gets a report that says, don't have to do anything, so he decides not to do anything. He leaves it there. What changed on Friday night, and why didn't he do anything over the last time in office?
Well, this is a question for Anthony Albanese to explain. He hasn't even attempted to do so in the many times he's been asked questions, both in that terrible ABC radio interview, which he dialed into in a rushed fashion on Friday night, and in his press conference over the weekend, where he couldn't answer the most basic questions about this. But he did make one really important admission. He said, for him, that the Port of Darwin decision was, quote unquote, a political decision. And I think that's all it could be, because when he was trying to appeal to the Chinese government, he was saying the Port of Darwin can stay in Landbridge Group's hands. There's no need to change anything. And right now, before an election, when he hears that the opposition leader is about to make an announcement, well, he rushes out an announcement of his own. So I think we can see what this is. It's just politics for Anthony Albanese.
What about his inner sanctum? You've got this banned lobbyist, and now we see the return of the ghost of Daniel Andrews.
You can tell a lot about the person by the company they choose to keep, and to invite someone who's been banned as a lobbyist in Queensland into the heart of your campaign says something, and to invite Victoria's worst ever Premier and least popular politician Daniel Andrews into your campaign says something else. And the fact that he wouldn't be upfront about that reflects very badly on the Prime Minister. He was asked by your Sky colleague Trudy McIntosh at a press conference today about this. He just completely ignored the question. He won't be upfront and honest, because I think he knows that Victorians would be horrified by the idea that Daniel Andrews is close to his campaign, close to him providing advice, because of the shocking damage he's done to our state.
It's been a rugged couple of days. I know you want to get Australia back on track, but is the campaign for the Libs back on track?
I think absolutely, Peter. I think you've seen really strong performances from Peter Dutton on the campaign trail in the last couple of days. When Australians hear that they're going to be 25 cents a litre better off at every time they go to a petrol station under Peter Dutton, they're much more inclined to vote for us. When Australians hear about our plan to drive more gas into the domestic market and drive prices down, they're much more likely to vote for us. And when they hear that we're going to actually reduce immigration to take pressure off the housing market, it gives them hope again that their children will be able to buy a home in this country. And that's what Peter Dutton really, truly believes in. It's what animates him. He wants to make this country strong again. He wants to get Australia back on track, and I think we can do that.